Hi, everyone. Welcome. So I'm Suzi Lula, and this is Joye Madden, and we are here to assist you all to move from anxiety, stress that you might be feeling or working with the parents who you're working with to calm and peace and reconnecting, recentering. So I'll share a little bit about myself, and then Joy will, and we'll give you an overview and we'll dive in. So I am Suzi Lula, and I'm a spiritual therapist. So I have a private practice. I've been in private practice for about 20 something years now. And so I work with myself and with parents and caregivers, just like all of you, working with my own self and my clients with how this particular time is evoking a lot of reactivity and triggering so much anxiety and stress. I don't know if you all are feeling it, but we'll certainly be diving into that, ways that you or me or my client, Joy, her kids, my kids, might be acting out, and then navigating us back to a place of peace and interconnection. So I'm also an author. I've written a book for mothers called The Motherhood Evolution: How Thriving Mothers Raise Thriving Children. And it's really all about creating a belief system and a consciousness and a movement around the more that we caregivers thrive, the more that we are full, then the more that we have to offer those who we are caring for. I also have a lot of online classes and a website that I'll put in the chat box. My website with tons of free resources and different classes that you guys can go back to after this time together. So I'll introduce Joy, and then you can say a little about yourself. But I know Joy as my client first and foremost, but she in her own right is passionate and an advocate about working with families in recovery with mental illness. And she's really an advocate about assisting families to move from mental illness back into mental health. So Joy, you want to introduce yourself and then we'll dive in.
Yes. Hi. Thank you, Suzi, so much. And welcome, everyone. First, I just want to say I'm so very honored to be here and to get to be with you all for the next little bit. Like Suzi said, I'm a mom. I have 3 kids, and I have sort of set out on my own journey through my kids with their mental health issues. And like Suzi also said, I'm a huge advocate for mental health. I am here because I want to reduce the stigma of mental health, and especially in our children. I have really done most all of my healing on my own journey through my kids. And now it is just my mission and my utmost passion to help families who have kids that are struggling, to talk about recovery, to talk about mental health. Suzi has been my biggest mentor for the last year or so, and my growth has just taken off with her. And so I'm so honored to have her here with me today and for us to get to talk to you about our own experience with our own families. And really want to say first too that the moms, the dads, the caregivers out there, that you are not alone right now. Suzi and I both have kids, and I've got kids doing online classes at home, and we're all in this crazed time right now because of COVID, but you are not alone. And so our hope is to guide you through this, like Suzi said, and talk to you about awarenesses and resources, and collectively get through this time. So very honored to be here. Thank you.
Excellent. So we're going to do a centering. I always start everything with a centering, but before we do, I'd love for any of you who want to, I'd love to do a check-in. So if you go to the bottom of your screen, you'll see a chat window. And when you pull up your chat window, I'd love for you right now to just give us a read on a scale of 1 to 10, how you find yourself doing coming into this time. So let's say 10 is like spectacular. You are just relaxed, cool as a cucumber, like COVID's good with you. You're finding your way through. I'm saying that lightly, but I really mean that you feel as a 10 that you're thriving. And down through the numbers. And please, these numbers are confidential and they mean nothing. They're just helping give yourself a read from where you're beginning today, because we want to take you on a journey today so that your numbers, wherever you start with, if you're on a 0 and like floundering and you need a lifeboat, a life jacket, that you'll move from the beginning of this time to the end of this time. We really want to make this interactive, and what we want, rather than just feeding you information, we're really wanting you yourself to move on your own journey towards feeling fulfilled. So I'm seeing tons of numbers come in, everywhere from 2 to 5 to 8 to 7, 6. I feel like I'm starting to run out of gas. I can really relate to that. Finding gifts in different levels of connection, being of service. I'm seeing 3, 7, 5.5, 6. Hi, Diana. My name is Diana, and my audio is not working. Okay, so I know that there's a. I'm gonna let Jessie handle that. I'm pretending like I know what I know, but we'll help you, Diana. So a 4. So as you're hearing these numbers, I'm seeing everything from 4 to 7 and everything in between. And I know for myself, I could be a 4 one day, a 2 one day, a 7 the next day. So I think what we all have in common here is that, like Joy was saying, we're all moving through this together. We absolutely wanted to come together during this time because these are ways to remind each other and ourselves that we're not alone, you know? So remember that wherever, for Diana, Jessie is writing for the audio. So wherever you find yourself, that's your starting point. So we as a culture, we have a tendency, and that here I ask for the numbers, but we have a tendency to see where we are and then judge that number. Like, I'm at a 2, I should be at a 7. I'm at a 7, I hope I can hold on to it. I'm at a 7, now I'm, down to a 2. So we want to have this time together to assist us to move away from the labeling that we do and see, oh, the number is just a mirror. It's a barometer, it's a reflector. And especially if you're finding yourself 6 or under, what it is it's a calling. It's a calling from your heart. It's a calling from your soul that maybe you need to refresh, restore yourself. And that can be challenging during these times. So that's what Joy and I are here to assist you with. So we're going to do a short centering, and then we're going to dive in. We're going to dive in first to some overt and then some more covert signs of anxiety and stress and addiction and all of this area. Then we're going to move into some real practical tools that you all can use right away during this time and after. And then we'll open it up to questions. So if that's good, and if it feels okay to you, then just gently close your eyes. If that doesn't feel good to you, perfectly fine. You can keep your eyes open. I like to place my hand on my heart. Again, not necessary. But why I place my hand on my heart is as a physical representation to myself that the world can distract us. And it's so easy to get pulled by the world, our own children and family, those who we're caring for. But I place my hand on my heart just as a reminder, I'm wanting to turn within. I'm wanting to connect with my own heart, my own highest self, my own breath even. And I might do this 1,000 times a day. And no one else really knows what I'm doing, but I know. It's just here, and it's my way of connecting. So if that feels right for you, if it doesn't, no problem. And we're just gonna all take 3 deep breaths in together. So deep breath in, and exhale with a sigh. Deep breath in, exhale with a sigh. And one more time, deep breath in, and exhale. So I'm so grateful to be here. I'm so grateful to be here with Joy, with all of you, with each of you. I'm so grateful that each one of you has chosen to invest your time, your energy, your interest in reconnecting with yourself so that you can be of greater service to those around you. So I'm grateful for this time to, just for these next few moments, to move away from all of the frenzy and panic and low vibration in the outer world, anything of the outer world, and call yourself inward to your own heart. Where we need look no farther, there's peace and calm and serenity and guidance and wisdom. So I know that during this time, it's a time for each one of you watching to reconnect with your own wisdom, with your own inner guidance, with your own intuition, with your own highest self, with your own creativity and inspiration. And that this time together renews you and refreshes you and recenters you. That you leave this time not only refreshed yourself, but remembering that you can come back to this over and over and over. And then whenever you're ready, gently open your eyes. So like I said, I always start everything, even my imaginary conversations with my son. I have an almost 18-year-old son, and I have an adopted daughter. She's in her late 20s. And so ever since he's young, with every client, with my girlfriends, I'm just inwardly always setting an intention, inwardly recentering myself. What is my intention for this conversation? What is my intention for this time together? So I just offer it to you. Actually, we centered, but I'm offering it to you also as a tool to take with you. Because even before I'll text my son, I'll ask myself, what is my intention for this interaction? Even with my husband this morning, I was getting ready to say something, but I heard myself go, what is my intention for this interaction? And it just assisted me to say what I had to say in the way that I wanted to say it. So anything you want to share about that, Joy? And then we'll move into the overt signs and the covert signs.
No, I was thinking when you said that, I always have to check, what is my motivation? What is my motive? Not motivation, but what is my motive in that? And it works a lot, especially with my kids right now, because they're all over the place. And then this morning, actually, my daughter asked me, I was getting ready for the webinar. And she looked at me and she said, do I make you anxious? Because I told her what I was talking about. And I had to think about it for a second and really check myself. No, it's not her, but I do get anxious around her. But then that is up to me on how to soothe my own anxiety.
But even I think that's so beautiful because our children are so aware, they're so sensitive. So that's such a great example of a child feeling an adult's anxiety. And she had the mental health, she had the health to be able to express and ask. And I think we have to look at that, or it's a beautiful opportunity to look at, wow, how healthy she is to be connected to what she's feeling and then ask it. And then you had such a beautiful moment and training and practice to turn within first. What you just demonstrated was a pause. You said, you didn't say it in those words, but you said, I had to take a moment, or I chose to take a moment and pause and ask yourself, and then to be able to say back to a child. I mean, that's so empowering to then get to say back to a child, you don't make me anxious. Yet I want to validate your feelings. Yes, I am anxious. I'm anxious before this webinar. It's something that I said to my family last night. It's like, tomorrow morning I have something. It's really important to me. So how can I want to let you all know that I might get anxious? My son's 18th birthday is on Tuesday. And I'm finding myself really anxious about it because I want to make it special and we're in quarantine. And I already get anxious about birthdays and wanting to make it special. And this, I can feel myself putting that extra pressure on myself. I don't know if you all can relate to this. So I've been sharing with my husband, I feel anxious, because I know he can feel it from me. So if I initiate and say, I feel anxious, I just want you to know I'm putting pressure on myself about this birthday, I want it to be special, then I enlist him as an advocate and an ally. Whereas if I don't, and we'll be talking about that in a few minutes, then I'm going to end up creating conflict, because I'm going to act out my anxiety instead of talking it out. And that is one of the biggest. So now we'll move into the signs, overt and covert signs of anxiety, frustration, overwhelm, stress during this time. So I think the overt ones are obvious. I know they are painfully obvious to me in my life, and acting out is one of the covert signs. If I hadn't had the presence of mind to let him know what's going on, and I would just be in this frenzy of, and I'm having this pressure, then nothing anybody does around me will be right. It won't be good enough. I will be criticizing, I will be judging, I will be impatient, I will be frustrated, I might even be yelling, I might get angry. And all of that is because deep within me, I'm feeling not enough. Like, am I gonna create a good enough birthday party for him? It might sound trite and trivial and silly, but this is how it happens in recovery. This is how it happens with addiction. It's something as simple as a birthday party, and I'm feeling anxiety. And underneath the anxiety, deep underneath the anxiety, is a feeling that I'm not good enough. And if I'm not connected to that, I'm going to act out that feeling. So the overt the overt ways you might find yourself, maybe not, maybe it's just me, you might find yourself impatient, frustrated, stressed. Impatience is a big sign, and yelling and saying things in a tone that you don't mean, and feeling, maybe you're threatening your children. You're hearing yourself threatening your children. If you don't do this, you're going to get a timeout. If you don't do this, I'm taking away your phone. Just resorting to those things that when you're more calm, you're able not to resort to, you're feeling yourself controlling, trying to control all the situations around you. Those are more of the overt signs, right? If you're punishing your child, if you hear yourself yelling. And then with your children, or children you might be working with, if they are, tantruming more, if they are acting out more, if they are trying to control more, if they are, also creating more of the conflict, they're not as compliant or cooperative or working together as easily. They feel more defiant. They're resisting your even suggestions, hey, let's go out and play ball. No, I don't want to play ball right now. That kind of snarkiness are signs that deep within you is calling out for a connection, right? Now, some of the covert ways, the less obvious ways, are things like sneaking, right? Sneaking food, or just plain finding yourself moving towards eating poorly, not eating as well, eating late at night, going to the fridge or pantry and just opening the door and just looking, not exercising as much, not taking as good care of yourself as you usually do. Things, especially during this time, not showering, just keeping on your pajamas all day. Although there are days that it's really good to keep on your pajamas all day, but not getting dressed, isolating is a big covert sign, And a way of controlling is valuing your doing over your being. So what do I mean by that? It's like the laundry becomes epic, and getting dinner ready, cleaning the table, or clearing the table, cleaning your house. It takes on a more intense role, because really you're trying to push away those feelings underneath. So if you find yourself really insistent on, the structure and the time, not that structure isn't good, but it's the inner, if you're finding yourself obsessive and strict and rigid and controlling about these things, or the opposite, trying to control your food, trying not to eat too much, all of those are the more covert signs? Any ones you want to add, Joy, or anything that you're noticing in your own house? And anyone on the chat, if you just want to write in a word, if any of this resonates with you. I can tell you the eating part resonates with me. So I would just write in the chat box, eating, 17 exclamation points. Any one of them that you all feel jumped out at you in your own world or in working with parents or with your children. Joy, anything jump out at you?
Well, you must have been in my kitchen yesterday because my cabinet door was open. I texted my aunt last night. I have eaten all day today. And it was just, I was a little uncomfortable yesterday. And when I finally get still, like you've taught me, and realized that, yeah, there were some things that I was anxious about. But I'll tell you, we had a really good a lesson with my oldest daughter, Morgan, who, so we have this new puppy, and my two daughters, I have three kids, two of my daughters have been fighting constantly over this puppy and whose time is it to take care of it. And Morgan is, she'll be 17 next week too. And she's home from boarding school. So all of her classes are online. She's a junior, so she's struggling. And they were fighting over the puppy. And Morgan just starts yelling at my younger daughter. And I knew that it wasn't just about the puppy. Like I knew, cause she just tantrumed and screamed and yelled and started to cry and marched upstairs. And, you know, my younger daughter was like, what did I do wrong? Why did I make her cry? And I said to her, and it was like, it's not really about the puppy. And after what I've learned from you is allowed her to take space, that she has so much fear right now. And she's so confused and she's struggling in her chemistry class. And, you know, she's scared. She's afraid that her grades are going to drop and it's a really important year. But it's those ways that how it can disguise itself, that it's like you said, it's just not right there. And then last night I was on the phone with my son who, my younger son is 12 and he is at a boarding school, a therapeutic boarding school. And he had a complete panic attack with me on the phone last night. His chest was tight. He was crying. And all of it was sadness and fear. And he was anxious because we haven't seen him since February, and I don't know when we're going to see him, you know, again, till this whole thing's over. So like you said, there's so many ways that anxiety can come out but we don't recognize it until we're in the moment and until we're taught, oh, that's what that is. And that's exactly what I had to learn.
Diana is actually saying that in the chat. Many times we don't feel it because of its newness, and sometimes it has to do with repressed feelings. And I think this is such a good point, and something I want to offer you all is because in our culture, let's say even before this pandemic, in our culture, and this is one of the biggest things around the world of recovery and addiction and mental health and mental illness, is that we aren't taught how to be in relationship with anxiety. Anxiety happens for everyone. Stress happens for everyone. Feelings of not enough, even deep, deep feelings of not enough and trauma happens to so many of us. But it isn't the trauma. It's that we aren't taught the way to be in relationship to the intensity of the feelings that come up and the emotions that come up. So as a side tangent, I just want to say, and I'm going to read some of this in the chat, is fabulous. But I just want to offer you all, I have a lot of online classes, and I am a huge advocate in learning how to be in relationship with these really intense emotions. So I have a class called the Emotional Messenger System. Go on SuziLula.com. I'll write, will you mind writing SuziLula.com in that chat box, if you don't mind, Joy? So one is the Emotional Messenger System. One is called Learning the Language of Self-Compassion. These are online courses you can do on your own, but they're really about teaching you how to navigate and mostly sit with, take your space, take your pause, and sit with all this anxiety that's coming up that we haven't been taught how to be present with, how to actually hear that they're messengers. And once you get the message and the insight, that's a whole different seminar, but it's utmost important. And then you add the pandemic time And we're also sheltering in close quarters, and everyone is having more intense emotions. And that's when we can really start bumping up against each other, and it just can get so uncomfortable in our homes. So I wanted to share that. I also want to share, Jessie is writing in the chat, a link. I have what I call the 6-day self-care challenge. And if you click on to that, you will receive videos from me every day for 6 days. And each video is very short, just like 6 minutes, but it will assist you to reconnect with yourself. And it will give you all these different tools and practices in a more elaborated way than we're doing today. We're kind of, boom, 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 going through them today. But each day you'll receive a video with real tools and practices to help you stay more connected. I want to read some of these. They're great. All of you guys are really relating to this. Some of you are saying lack of sleep. I didn't think of that exactly. I haven't been sleeping as well. I'm usually like a really deep sleeper. Lack of sleep, cleaning obsessively, since things have been going on with things outside, it feels like a lack of control. Not having control in our lives is so hard. Many people are saying not eating. Many people are saying overeating. Someone was saying working out too much. Many people are saying not working out enough. So to know yourself and to see where your tendency is, right? Someone's tendency is going to be to work out too much. My tendency is not to work out enough. And I get lethargic and I have to force myself out. I did that the other day. I too was eating chips in the middle of the day, and I just literally made myself go water my garden. And making myself water these roses we had just planted led to then washing my car. Washing my car then led to my husband saying, do you want to go take a walk? But it's that knowing of yourself and having yourself, that's what addiction is, right? And that's why we do interventions with addiction. I had to do an intervention with myself, and that can be really challenging. That's why staying connected like this, like today, can serve as an intervention with us. Right. So wherever you found yourself, some people are saying, they're just workaholics. Some people are saying that they're cleaning their house incessantly, eating, cleaning to keep from feeling. My heart, cleaning to keep from feeling, because the feelings feel out of control. So of course you're going to clean, right? Or you're just going to not clean. You're going to go F it. I'm going to deal with this after the pandemic. We all have ways and now we're going to move into this for the rest of the time, of how to really sit with those feelings, how to be present with the feelings, and also then other tools and practices that you can take away with you today. So I think we're all here. Sure.
Piggyback on something that you said, and I think that'll lead us into the tools. But like me, and especially for so many of us that may or may not be on this meeting, but growing up in addiction, where I had two parents who were addicted from the moment that I was born, and that was the culture and the conditioning that I was raised in. You were talking about, like, I wasn't taught how to feel. I suppressed everything because I had a family that couldn't see me or didn't know how to help me navigate my own feelings and emotions. So I stayed small and I stayed quiet. And so that is how I raised my kids in the beginning, because I didn't know how. And so what you've taught me so much, and all the healing and the work that I've done myself, as I have figured out that the anxiety doesn't have to control me, that I don't have to, I'll be honest, one of the things that I've caught myself doing is shopping online. Like, I don't know how long we're going to be in quarantine. Why do I need new clothes right now? But, or I'm scrolling on social media, but it's a way to escape my feelings. But what I know now is that I can catch myself, and I can stop myself before I hit the buy now button. Oh, what am I trying to cover up right now? And I think that's so much for so many of us, because we're just home. If we're not working, we're home with our kids and they're screaming and we're, what do I do?
So let's take everybody through a process. I'm actually let's deviate for a moment. And let's go through a process so everyone can leave here feeling like you actually experienced what it was like to go from wherever you're finding yourself as you've been writing and into more of a place of peace. And then we can still share all these tools afterwards. So, because what you're saying is very challenging for us to learn how to do. What you're suggesting is, how do we, and this is the base of all addiction, all mental illness, is a thought that we are not good enough, a thought that we are damaged, a thought that we are broken, a thought that we're out of control, a thought that something's wrong. And when you're in that container, and it's most often unconscious, you're not walking around going, oh, I'm feeling not good enough, I'm feeling like something's broken. It's not a conscious awareness, but because it's not a conscious awareness, you try to fill it with something conscious, like shopping, or it shows up, you're not sleeping as well, or you're cleaning incessantly. So what we aren't taught is, though, once you become aware, oh, I'm feeling anxious and I'm shopping online, it's still challenging to recognize the anxiety that you're feeling, but navigate yourself out of it. So what I have created is a process that I call the Mountaintop process, the Mountaintop Practice. I'm going to take you guys through it right now. But it's a practice of teaching yourself not to resist what you're feeling, but actually to embrace it, but embrace it from a higher perspective, a higher altitude. It's like you're flying in a plane. And when you take off, like none of us are doing right now, but when you take off and you start looking down, the size of the cars ends up looking like little matchbox cars, but actually the size of the cars haven't changed at all. Your perspective about the size of the cars have changed. And so because of that higher altitude, you're able to put what you're feeling in a larger, broader perspective. So if it sounds good to you guys, let's go through this process. So again, just gently close your eyes if that feels comfortable to you. If it doesn't, please feel free to keep your eyes open. As I said before, if you feel like placing your hand on your heart, you can place your hand on your heart as a way of connecting. And I want you to see yourself sitting in wherever you're sitting, wherever you find yourself seated right now, whatever room you're in. Just feel yourself seated there. And as you feel yourself in your body seated, simultaneously, because we are multidimensional beings, we can do two different things at one time. I want you to, in your imagination, just see yourself rising up from the seat that you're sitting in, and you sort of feel like you're hovering at your ceiling. So you're sitting in your chair, but you're kind of hovering at the ceiling, and you're looking down at yourself sitting in your chair, kind of like taking off on an airplane. And once you kind of feel that, I want you to feel that you even break through your ceiling, and you're maybe at the height of a treetop in your yard. You're up at the top of that treetop, and you're looking down at yourself sitting here. And if you're able to be feeling that, and it's working for you, just even feel yourself rise up even higher. You're at the top of a mountain. So feel yourself, you're at the top of the mountain. And when you're standing at the top of a mountain, you recognize there is no ceiling above me, only sky. There's no ceiling, there's no limitation, there's no walls around me. There's no walls on the side of me, there's no ceiling above me. I'm free, I'm unencumbered, I'm connected to something that's greater than myself, that's sourcing me, that's infinite. That is your truest self, that is your highest self, and you're looking down at yourself seated in your chair. And as you look down, I want you to just become aware of the different ways you may have been feeling anxious over these past few weeks, and even before these past few weeks. See yourself, you haven't been sleeping as well, or you have caught yourself online or in front of a fridge, or overworking out, over cleaning, under cleaning. You're at the top of the mountain and you're looking down at yourself. Now, from this high perspective, I want you to just open your heart and feel all the compassion for yourself Up at the top of the mountain, your heart is opening. You're feeling compassion for this person who is here doing the very best you can. Maybe you have multiple children at home. Maybe you have high needs children. Maybe you yourself are in recovery. Maybe you're working with families in recovery. You're dealing with anxiety and stress, not only of yourself, but of others in close quarters. Maybe you're alone and you're feeling very lonely. But you're up at the top of this mountain and you're seeing, oh my goodness, I'm looking down at myself and I'm seeing I'm doing the best I can. And I'm feeling anxious, or I'm feeling out of control. I'm trying to gain control. And you just feel so much compassion for yourself. Oh, I see myself from a higher perspective. I see myself. I see that I'm trying to do the best I can. You just feel compassion for yourself. And then just ask yourself, what is it that I need in this moment? What could I provide for myself in this moment that would be helpful? Maybe you do need to work out. Maybe you need to journal. Maybe you just need to take 5 minutes in the bathroom by yourself, taking deep breaths. Maybe you need a bubble bath. Maybe you need to say to your kids, I'm just, need 5 minutes in the bathroom. Maybe you just need to drink more water during the day. Whatever it is, listen. It can be the smallest of things. Maybe you need to pick some flowers. Maybe you need to go for a walk around but just listen and recognize that you can ask yourself this question over and over and over, maybe 100 times in a day. And then whenever you're ready, gently open your eyes. So just write in the chat box if a word came to you, if anything came to you. And if nothing came to you, that's also fine, because we're not used to doing these check-ins with ourselves. But I wanted to offer it so that you can take it with you and you can watch the replay, and you can go just to that place in the replay, and you can have guided meditations during this time are so powerful, because then you're not having to conjure it up within yourself. You have someone else guiding you during this time, so you're really not alone.
Yeah.
Feeling peaceful, feeling a reset, feeling compassion for yourself. You heard to sit outside and listen to the birds singing. Beautiful. And if you actually do that, it will restore yourself. Anyone else? Beautiful. So this is a practice that you can rewatch and rewatch, go to that particular timing and just be guided.
Yeah.
Right?
And I want to say too, Suzi, as people are still writing in the chat, is that what I have learned from doing these things, this self-care truly for myself, is that I get honest with my kids about it. And I tell my kids, right now, I need to go for a walk. And at some point, they used to fight me like, why are you leaving? But they know that the things that I'm doing for myself. And that when I come back to them, I show up so much clearer, so much in the higher vibration, so much more restored, so much more feeling grounded in myself. And then it's about me taking care of my needs and emotions first, that I can then show up for them. And they know. I mean, my daughter the other day said, Mom, have you gone for your walk today? Because I was, a little antsy. But then it shows them, it mirrors and models for them ways for them to do the same thing and to take care of themselves in a way that fits their needs as well.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah. I'm going to read some of these and then I'm going to go back to what you're saying. Outdoors with flowers, flowering trees, nature. That's why I always try to have flowers around me. Always. There's flowers everywhere in my house, because every time I walk by, I'm just bringing some nature inside. I'm reminded of something greater than myself, nature. Outdoors, flowers, flowering trees, giving myself time to be quiet and experience quiet. Beautiful. Shauna is saying, I need to ask my husband to help with the baby so I can take a break. So asking for assistance, asking for help. That's another sign that I didn't think to put in, a covert sign, noticing that you're trying to do everything yourself and you're not asking for help and you're just trying to power through your day and get everything done on your own. Compassion and that your needs matter too. It is my responsibility and privilege to make a care plan for me and my person. Enjoy the spring outside and renewal. Yes, exactly. And apologize if you need to reset a broken connection, repairing, making amends. And to Joy's point about self-care, and then I'm just gonna like barrel through a bunch of tools I want to leave you guys with. Nature, Veronica's saying, this idea about self-care and soul care, I like to call it soul care because it's connecting with your body, mind, spirit, and emotions. It's all these different levels of, many of us end up dying on the vine, right? So it's all these different levels of reconnecting with ourselves. And one of the biggest reasons that we don't really take care of our soul, our spirit, our heart, our emotions is because we're taught that it's selfish. And we are taught that there's not enough time, not enough support. And so what Joy is sharing, that she goes for a walk and her girls have just learned that she comes back to them healthier. That is a journey in and of itself. So have deep compassion for yourself, reverence for yourself. If it's hard to start taking those steps, because maybe you have been taught that it's selfish. Maybe you feel guilty. And to every client I work with, the client goes through this feeling of I feel guilty for going for a walk when my kids are at home. I feel guilty for taking time for myself when I noticed someone in the chat was sharing that they have an 87-year-old dad who's an alcoholic. Maybe you're caring for your parents, or you're just embroiled in relationships that are unhealthy. So when that's going on in our world, it can be very challenging. That's why I say self-care and soul care is so brave. It's so courageous. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. Going to take a walk, for me, even now still, I've practiced it for years and years and years. My mind can just go, oh, you got to plan this thing for William, or he needs you for this, or Jamie needs you for this. It's a mental, we're conditioned from when we're little. Don't take care of yourself first. That's selfish. But what I can tell you, and to echo what Joy is saying, I promise you, if you take nothing else from today, I can tell you the me that shows up back to my relationship with my son, back to Jamie, back to my husband, the me that shows up is dramatically different than the me that shows up when I don't take care of myself. So it is a brave and courageous act to even get on the bandwagon of self-care. But I promise you, that's why I like doing this in community. I promise, get with someone, get a partner, listen to this over and over and over again. I promise if you start with just the smallest thing, mommy needs to go take a bath right now. Mommy needs to just go take a shower right now. Yes, your kids will come into the bathroom. Yes, they will come into the shower. Why? Because we've taught them that we are on the back burner. So we've taught them that because that's what we've been taught. And so at the beginning, they're still in the old dance, but see yourself through it for a minute, because I promise you, as you do, you will come out feeling refreshed. And then they will also feel, oh, my mom or my caregiver or whoever it is, oh, wow, you're more calm, you're more relaxed, you're more peaceful, you're more reconnected. And that feels good. That's mental health. That's emotional health. That's health. That's well-being. And then you will be the bringer of that into your world. So, mindfulness, excellent. Someone saying one of the most difficult things for me is to ask for help. Yes, the surprise I received is that there are people willing to help. Exactly. And some days it's your day to be the helper, but most often, if you're a caregiver during these times where you're working with people who are caregivers and you have kids at this time, it is your turn to receive.
Yeah.
So to know that there are individuals, there are resources here for you to receive.
Right.
Reginald, you are on it. Being a single human being that through therapy knows that I'm caretaker by nature. Hence, your occupation as a therapist, since my COVID-19 stay in place makes me feel guilty for the peace I have. Exactly. So we could do a whole nother hour on guilt. If you get my book, I have chapters on guilt because it has been introduced to us by religion, culture. It's just, it's misinformation. There's nothing wrong with us, right? Anyway, different seminar, but it seems selfish, but it's not selfish to take care of yourself. Exactly. So let's power through, Joy. We have like 5 minutes. Let's give them some of the tools, right? And then you can share how these tools, I'm gonna just boom, boom, boom. And maybe we can do a bullet point thing, or you guys can come back to this. It's the last 5 minutes or so. So here will be all the tools. We meant to elaborate, but if you do the soul care challenge, and just sign up for the soul care challenge, you'll get the videos and you'll get all the elaborations. But I would say the first thing, unless you're one of the people who's over exercising, I would say the first thing, move your body. Walk your dogs, jump on your trampoline, go play catch with your children, go out on your driveway and just, play basketball, or, do jumping jacks. Like I said, I was washing the car. I was, because in COVID, you're not realizing that just the getting in and out of your car, going to the market, dropping off your kids at school, picking them up from school. We just do a lot of moving in the day. And with COVID, boom, we're sedentary. So even going to take a walk might
and
not
I'll tell
be
you
enough.
Yes. And
Oh,
I got you, but the other night, my daughter and I got in the kitchen and we had a dance.
Exactly. You're freezing.
And I was cooking and we came in and just danced and danced and danced.
Yeah. That's the next.
It's great.
That is the next thing I was going to say. Music. I'm telling you, music is your best friend during COVID-19. It's my best friend always. I'm a musician, I'm a pianist, and I'm married to a musician, great singer-songwriter. But I'm telling you, music is your best friend. Anything from chant music and quiet music. If you go on my website, I have CDs of relaxing piano music if you like piano music. You can do relaxation, have just music playing in your house. It creates such a calm vibe. And then you can go to, like Joy is saying, put on dance music, put on, whatever it is that inspires you, and cook in the kitchen and clean up in the kitchen and have a dance party. I'm telling you, music is your best friend. Don't overlook it. I create playlists, inspirational playlists, dance playlists, workout playlists. Like, I'm just always looking for new music that will connect with the mood that I'm in. And
it's such a great way to connect with your kids right now. I mean, it is such a good way. My almost 17-year-old kind of makes fun of me, but whatever. But my 12-year-old loves it. I mean, it was so much fun. And they see me laughing. And that's something that I used to not do. And it's hard right now, but to create laughter with your kids, they love it so much. They really do.
Yeah.
And Susie, the other good one that's really important for me with my kids and taking care of myself real quick is taking a pause with my kids and saying to them, I got, my youngest and I got a little bit triggered with her the other day, and again, around this daggum puppy. But I said to her, I could feel the blood. I could feel my stomach turning. I could feel that feeling that you get. And I looked at her and I said, you know what? I need to take a pause. You've done nothing wrong. It has nothing to do with you, because before, when I got triggered, I blamed them. It was always their fault, their fault, their fault. And this time, mommy needs to go take a pause, and I'm going to go into my bedroom. I'm going to take the puppy. We're going to go spend some time together. You go take care of yourself. Go upstairs.
You're freezing, Joy. I don't know if
right now. And again, that's also teaching them. Oop, am I there?
Now you are. Yeah,
okay.
You were freezing.
Again, you can pick it up from there, but that's another way to teach them and model for them the self-care.
Exactly. And you've gone through a journey on your own of thinking that it was, or thinking it was selfish, feeling guilty. So you're moving through these steps, and you've proven out to yourself how you know it works. And so now you're able to offer it to your children. And taking the pause that's what meditation teaches us, which was the next thing on my list. But meditation, continually coming back to the breath, teaches us to pause. And I know with my son, since he was little, the way that I do taking a pause is that I would say, especially if you have little ones, but even him right now at 18, almost 18, I say, I need to take 3 deep breaths. And then I would literally, when he was little, like literally count them out loud. I'd go, okay, mommy really needs to take 3 deep breaths. And I would go 1, 2, 3. So you see how long that takes. It takes a long time to take 3 breaths out loud, deep breath in, count them out loud. But in that time, your brain chemistry will change. Research will show that in 10 seconds or less, you can change your brain chemistry, you can change the neural pathways, and your brain will begin to realign when you connect with your breath and when you take a pause. So that's why I've always taught him, and I've always done it out loud. So I'm modeling it to him. And now that's what he does all the time. He'll say, Mom, I'm stressed. Let me just take a deep breath. I can't talk about this right now. Let me just take a deep breath. So just like Joy's saying, any kind of way that you can work in taking a breath throughout your day and letting them know that you need to do this, it's great for yourself, but it's great modeling for your kids. It's great self-care modeling.
Yeah.
So thank you.
I love what Ellen just said. You can start your day all over at any point. Ellen, my Al-Anon sponsor, used to tell me the same thing, that you can do that anytime. And in fact, there were days that actually, in the very beginning of my recovery journey and my healing, she said to me, I want you to actually go take another shower, and literally start your day all over again.
Yeah.
And it worked, a little bit of a pain, but getting in that mindset that it doesn't have to affect your whole day.
Absolutely, to recognize that. And that's why Joy and I wear so many, we always wear malas, and because you can just touch your mala. Yeah. You can go, oh, this is a moment to start over. I always wear some kind of something on my physical body. It could be a ring, it could be a bracelet, just some physical, that's why I touch my heart. Some physical touchstone to remind yourself that you can start over, So I'll just do one more of these because I think it's so important and so life-changing. And then maybe we can take a question. I know we're running out of time. We're trying to put so much in here for you guys. So gratitude and appreciation have just changed my life. So especially during COVID, right? There's so much anxiety. There's so much negative inspiration information that's coming to us. There's so much coming to us. So what I like to do is I like to think 10 times a day, 20 times a day. I'm going to find 10 or 20 things to appreciate about myself, which goes back to that mountaintop. Make sure I'm appreciating myself, but also find 10 or 20 things. Maybe you start with 3 or 5. I don't want to overwhelm anybody, but I'm saying as a way of life to share your appreciations with people. So like for instance, my son, one of his chores is to bring in the garbage can. My son has ADD. He never remembers to bring in the garbage can at 18. And yet and still, on the days that he does remember, instead of me just thinking, well, that's his chore, of course he should do that, I always appreciate him for doing that. I always say, thank you so much for, going out. Another true example, my husband, I asked him, we have these new rose bushes that we just planted, and it's really hot in LA right now, and they're kind of withering, they're dying. And so I asked him to put mulch over them the other day, and he also has ADD. and he forgot, and then he forgot again. Now, the old me would have 100% gone into resentment, martyrdom. I'll just need to go do the mulch myself. And I would have gone to do the mulch, and I would not have been happy about it. I'm not going to lie. And I would have had a not fun time with these beautiful roses, putting this mulch up, complaining in my head about my husband. But the new me that uses appreciation, uses gratitude, appreciates my own self, does my self-care, on the third or fourth day later, because also, of course, I could have done it, and I could have done it with a good attitude, but we've both legitimately been busy. So when he did it this morning, the old me would have said something snarky to him. Even though he did it, I would have said something snarky about, well, thanks, I hope they make it through, or whatever I would have said. But the new me is just, oh, thank you so much for putting the mulch. I so appreciate that. I know the roses so appreciated that. You know, kids are texters, so I think of things to text my son, appreciations, gratitudes. We have gratitudes wall where we just have like a piece of paper, and we just, every time we walk by, we just write what we're grateful for, what we appreciate about each other. We have jars, and we put the gratitudes, just, we go around at dinner, and just any kind of way, because we're so barraged with so much negativity, so much limitation, so much, you know, stress inducing stuff right now, that will go a really long way. But start with yourselves, you know. Okay, it's like 10:59. I want to be here with you guys for another hour. So Joy, any last things you want to share? Just anything you want to share? Joy is so beautiful. Can everybody just appreciate Joy? I will tell you something about Joy. Joy is one of the individuals that I have the honor and privilege of knowing and working with, that really you practice this stuff. You practice it, and I watch it change your life, and you have so much to offer people around you. So if there's anyone that, you know, feels drawn or wants to connect, stay connected, Joy's doing the work, and absolutely can guide you from whatever place you find yourself on. And someone, Ellen is just saying, so sad this is over. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. It's music to our ears, because we were so excited to get to do this.
Yes.
So anyway.
Yes. Just how grateful I am for you, and how grateful I am for the invitation to get to do this. It was amazing and beautiful. And I ditto what Suzi says. Think about the things that you can appreciate about yourself, because that was really hard for me. Years ago, I could not find one thing I could appreciate about myself, not one. And if someone said something to me that they appreciated about me,
that's true.
I couldn't hear it. I couldn't take it in. I kept thinking they must be talking about someone else, because they certainly couldn't be talking about me. And so that little tidbit is huge. So find that. And I write little sticky notes on my mirror sometimes. And I am talking to that little girl inside me that wasn't appreciated when she was growing up. And that's the one that I have to nurture every single day.
Yeah, exactly. That's the part that ends up in addiction or with mental health issues. Yes.
So thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. I too am so honored to have gotten to be asked. Thank you, Joy, for inviting me on, because you got the invitation and she let me, you know, tag along, which I'm deeply grateful. Please sign up for the self-care challenge. Receive these videos. It's a dose every day where you're not going to have to conjure it up yourself. So go sign up, receive the videos. And my website, SuziLula.com. I think Jessie is writing the challenge link, so please just go to the links. And also SuziLula.com has a bunch of resources. And we would love to stay in touch with you guys. We just love doing this. So thank you guys. Thank you, Jessie, for being our tech support. You're amazing, and what a pleasure and luxury it was to get to come on and just do this and be supported. So Thank you. All right, everyone.
Have a great weekend.
Yeah. Stay healthy, stay well,